Tonight, we're taking you on patrol with the Orlando Police Department's gang unit, and their work goes beyond city streets. As
WESH 2's Nancy Alvarez reports, social media is fueling many cases of youth violence, and the gang unit has a message for parents ahead of the summer months.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
I just heard rapid gunfight.
This was the police response near Poppy Avenue in Orlando last September when alleged gang members fired shots into a home, killing 6-year-old Ajaliyah Hashim.
I'll always remember that one.
Almost 1 year later, a sergeant with the Orlando Police Department's gang unit, who we're not identifying for his safety, took us back to that night and what his team did moments after the shooting.
We all went out there. I heard the incident on the radio. My detectives are immediately monitoring kind of social media to see what people are talking about right out of the gate.
Monitoring gang activity online has become a central part of the unit's work.
So they'll rap about their neighborhood or wherever the case may be, where they're living, and then they'll throw some jabs in during their lyrics about other individuals in other neighborhoods, dissing those neighborhoods.
Unlike a lot of other cities where gang violence mainly erupts out of simmering disputes over drugs, money, or territory.
It has nothing to do with that here in the city of Orlando. It has to do with girlfriends. They're wanting to boast about their criminal activity and what they're capable of on these social media websites.
So ego?
Ego, yeah, that's it. As crazy as it sounds.
There are hundreds of gangs in our region. Tracking them all is complicated.
There's 100% a lot of gangs in Central Florida. To give you a hard number would be difficult.
In some cases, membership is generational.
They're almost born into that lifestyle. So if the gang already existed in the neighborhood, then everybody that's coming up through that neighborhood is either going to go one direction or the other.
Breaking that cycle is a challenge, especially when home life is a struggle and kids find a sense of belonging in a gang. The sergeant says caregivers and mentors need to look for red flags.
If you're 10 and you're hanging out with an 18-year-old on a regular basis, it's probably not a good plan. Pay attention to their social media, what they're doing on their phones. Absolutely get involved. Ask them, hey, who are you chatting with? Pay attention to where they're going at night.
When you look at the 5-year trend of arrests of people under the age of 21 for violent crimes in Orlando, we've seen a big jump. First, between 2019 and 2020, where there were more than 5 times as many arrests. Then, between 2022 and 2023, when those arrests almost doubled. The charges ranging from firing off guns to murder. And the summer months are critical.
Summer is always the time of year where obviously kids, that age group that I was talking about, those vulnerable kids, where they can either pick the right choices or not pick the right choices. And I'm not talking about stealing a Snickers bar from the 7-Eleven type of choices. I'm talking about legitimately bad choices. It's not that there isn't anywhere for kids to go. They just choose not to go, or their parents choose not to put them in programs to keep them off the streets.
The city of Orlando offers dozens of camps through their neighborhood centers. Hundreds more are offered by nonprofits and private companies, and many of them offer scholarships or financial aid. Still, mentors, funding, and resources are needed for groups working to keep kids engaged as the gang unit works to stay one step ahead of the violence.
It's 100% a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job.
Back at Ajaliyah's house, there are renovations underway, signs the neighborhood is moving on. But the sergeant says what happened here should serve as a reminder of the consequences of not doing all we can as a community.
People will see it or hear about this story and think, it's not my problem. I don't live there or here or there. My kid doesn't look like that. My kid doesn't look like this. Not my problem. Can you address that?
We're all human beings at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what you look like. And that violence will spill over. I promise you it will. It will come to our areas where you don't think it will if we don't get a hold of it. And then when it does happen, you're like, wow, I should have paid attention to that before.
You just saw that arrests of people under 21 are up in Orlando, but Orlando police tell us that year to year, most crime in the city is down. This includes shootings, violent crimes, and burglaries. There has been an increase in drug and weapons violations, though.